Sorry, TikTok.
Yep. All right. Okay, we're live and I gotta sign into the chat here. That's a whole other deal. Alrighty. See here. Okay. We're all good, I think.
I know. We got it.
Don't touch anything.
I know. I'm just gonna stay right here this whole time.
Right? Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to How Do You Spirit? And sorry about that. We had some technical difficulties, and I'm missing my other leg again today. My daughter, Chelsea, that comes and moderates. Anyway, technology. So today we have our special guest. Her name's Alex.
Hello.
Alex, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. So, little backstory. Alex is the daughter of a friend that I went to school with way back in the day. So that's how I got connected to Alex, and she's come to me for some readings over the years. And yes, and she has gone through, I think, a pretty significant journey, right? Right?
Absolutely. It's been crazy.
Yes,
and then
and I've seen you grow so much too, so I love that. Before we dive into all of that, because my moderator is not here, I cannot watch the Facebook chat. So if you guys have questions or comments for Alex, please go to the YouTube channel at How Do You Spirit. And unfortunately, we're not on TikTok because streaming software issues.
more technical issues.
Yeah.
Blessing and a curse.
Yeah, right. It truly is. Okay, Alex. So let's start with how did you, I guess we talked a little bit about before we got started. And you said back in the day, go ahead, start your story.
So when I was in, I want to say grade school was maybe my first experience. I'd always stay summer breaks in school with my grandparents. And per usual, for summer breaks, I'd be up till 3 o'clock in the morning watching Disney Channel, you know. But the way that my grandma's house is set up, she has like a living room and a kitchen, and then there's a hallway, and there's an additional family room, and then it goes back to all the bedrooms, and then there's a basement right there too. And I would always stay in that living room, and it would always be the middle of the night, and I know my grandma gets dry mouth, and she would go down the hall, get like water, and then she'd go back down.
Right.
And then like the next day I'd be like, "Oh, grandma, is everything okay? Like I saw you get up in the middle of the night." And she was like, "What?" Like,
oh, and it wasn't grandma.
She was like, "I had my drink next to me." So at that point, I actually didn't say anything to anybody for a really long time.
So how old do you think you were? Do you remember?
I would probably say somewhere between 5th and 6th grade. So
okay.
Relatively young.
Yeah.
And it didn't scare me. It was just, I just assumed it was my grandma. But even finding out afterwards, I was just like, oh, that was interesting. Okay, maybe I'm just hallucinating because you're a kid, you know?
Maybe you're
crazy.
Logic
out of it.
Right.
And nobody in my family talks about stuff like, well, they didn't at least back then. So like, I was just like, okay, that was interesting. But then I noticed that it happened a few times. And it wasn't even like back to back on nights. It was just like random days that I would just like see somebody go down the hall, and I would see them go back down the hall, and I was like, that's so great.
So was it the same?
I don't know.
Person?
It was just a black figure.
Okay.
I literally couldn't even tell. It was small enough that I thought it was my grandma the first time I saw it. That's why I just assumed. But like after that, I didn't. And when I finally told my grandma about it, I was like, I could have swore I saw somebody go down the hall last night. She actually started opening up to me about like, oh no, like I see people here too. And I was like, I'm sorry.
Oh my gosh. So then
and she has, I don't know if this is still a thing, but back in the day people would bury their dead animals in their yards.
Yeah.
And so she has like 3 dogs and a cat in her garden.
Yep.
And so, and like her dog that she had when all my aunts and uncles were growing up, she's like, I see Sadie all the time. I'll wake up in the middle of the night and Sadie will just be laying on the bed next to me. Like, don't even worry about it. It's totally normal. And I was like, oh, glad I'm not alone in this.
Right.
But then like there's been so many times that like even when I was in the front living room, if I was up late, there was actually a night that like I was watching TV ahead of me and I saw somebody come down again, and as soon as I turned it was gone. And I was like, I don't know what this is. But at the time I also didn't understand like that you could communicate with them and like you could be like, oh, hey, who are you? You know, like it was just something in my head that I was like, okay, I just saw that. I need to go to bed. Like, I'm
So,
tired.
but it didn't really freak you out then. Were you curious about it?
I think that's kind of what started my whole spiritual journey, actually, is just because that happened. And then I don't even know when I started looking into it, but I just started like, oh, like people can see spirits and like is it normal? And then I started reading things about like basically if you don't get bad feelings then it's like not a big deal. And then I started getting into scary movies and they talked about like protecting yourself and envisioning the white light around you.
Yes.
So I would start doing that more regularly.
Okay.
And just naturally, like I was just like, oh, that's a thing because I've seen it in like 5 different scary movies. So like there's got to be some truth.
Right.
So yeah, and so that's just kind of where everything started, and then it was very on and off throughout my life. Like there would be times where I just like completely disconnected myself from it. There are times where I completely indulged in it. I think after that point, as a grown-up, the time that I really started getting back into spirituality is like I read The Power of Now, and I think I was in high school, and like from that point forward, everything kind of just like slowly started like falling into place.
So did it, like, when you say fall into place, did it just start making sense to you at that point?
Yeah. And it resonated with me in a way that I don't know how to explain this. It was like what I would imagine people feel like in a religious setting, but I just like found it within myself, right? So it was just like, oh, so like the universe, and there's just like these mysterious forces at work, and trying to understand like abundance and emotion frequency, and just getting into all of that really opened up a huge door for me. And the more that I learned, like the more rabbit holes I went down. I've learned about, I don't even know how to even explain this. My husband plays God of War, and it's about like, I don't even know what they're called, but like celestial beings and like what made...
Is it like a Dungeons and Dragons kind of thing, or no?
Really. I don't even know how to explain it. I wish that I could remember what they were called, but like I would read about like centennials and like cosmic beings and just like and so like it just of like what the baseline is. I was like, well, where did he come from? Well, where did that come from? Actually, where did time come from? Actually, where did the stars come from?
Right.
And I just would go down, and I went down, and I've spiraled ever since.
I love that
here.
though. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So back to this God of War thing. Is it so Dungeons and Dragons is like, it's not a game like on a computer. Is that one like a game?
It's a PC game.
Okay, okay. That's,
and it is just very curious. Much like you have a mission and whatever, but like it's just it's actually very dark. It's very dark. But I'm like, I'm just gonna let you get it. And I actually learned about it when we first got together, like when him and I were first dating. So that's why I was like, I want to know more about him. So I need to know about this game. Like I don't even care if I don't play it. I just want to know. And then I just like I literally spiraled down, like trying to learn like all these things. And I was like,
wow,
did you know all this stuff? And he was like, are you bored? Like, what are you doing? I was like, I don't know.
Why are you diving so deep into it, right?
It's just a video game. It's okay.
Yeah. So what are some of the things that you've explored, like, or looked into, like, during your journey?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, what really resonates with you? Or maybe there's many things.
There's a lot of little things. I think the biggest thing that I think I resonate the most with is feeling. What is that called? Claire. It's one of the clairs.
When you feel the energy?
Yeah, or like you just like have a feeling that you just like know things.
Yeah, it's like a knowing. Yeah, but yeah, I know what you're talking about.
That's one for sure. Like synchronicities.
Yeah.
Those stand out to me. Very like I'm being hit in the face. That's crazy. I do tarot.
Okay.
Mostly for myself and like close friends just because I get nervous.
So when did you start doing that?
That's a great question, actually. I think I started learning about it high school time. I don't think I did it. Yeah, I don't think I ever did it on my own until probably only like 5 years ago.
Okay, so it's
pretty recent.
Yeah.
It's pretty recent. And I actually did, so another girl that I would go to for readings, she actually taught mediumship classes, and it was very low key, and I did that with her.
Awesome.
And so part of that was a little bit of tarot oracle work. Part of it was just like connecting with spirit, trying to connect with loved ones that have passed on.
Right.
And so it was just a very interesting experience. But the more with tarot, it's just so unique.
Yes.
And I think this is something that I've been wanting to say because I think it's important.
Yes.
But I think the
Please
hardest
tell
thing,
us.
the hardest thing about being on a spiritual journey is that I don't think enough people talk about how hard it is to trust yourself that your experiences are real.
100.
And that has been so hard
Yep.
to actually settle into, because when
Yep.
I like do tarot, for me, it's so easy to be like, I'm just making this up to make it make sense.
For yourself.
For myself, and even for like friends. Like I've done tarot for a couple friends, and like, I've made them cry, and I've been right on the ball with things, but I'm like, but I feel like I'm making it up because I feel like I know you. And I'm trying not to say biased things because I don't want it to sound...
It's harder when you know people, huh?
And then there's that scary aspect of like not knowing somebody, and then you're like,
that's the best part, though. Have you did tarot for someone you don't know?
No, I'm so
you need to.
Okay.
Because I love reading people I don't know.
Yeah.
Because
it's easier in a way.
Yes, but it also just really confirms and makes you feel like, okay, this is like for real. Yeah. These messages, yes, they are messages, because when you don't know anybody about it or anything about anybody, how could you get random thing, whatever that is? That's so true. That should be a test for you.
2025 goal. Okay.
Yeah.
Do it. But yeah, it is. It definitely gets tricky. So I do have multiple cards of those. I like to pull even just like daily cards, try and stay connected to them. I have multiple. I have like lessons cards. I have ancestor cards. I love the Wild Unknown. I don't know if you've heard of that.
No.
But it's a great tarot set. But yeah, so I do that. I love saging. I literally love everything spiritual. I read a lot of spiritual books.
So do
meditation,
Yep.
So I think that's the biggest thing, but definitely what resonates with me the most is like the synchronicities, like the repeating numbers, or I've noticed lately, the biggest thing is in random pieces of my day.
Yes.
At least in each of them, they'll all have one similar, like somebody will say something that are like, a movie will get brought up just in a random conversation, and then somebody will say something, and like the title of that movie will be in it, and I was like,
"Yep,
I'm sorry, what was that?" And then like 2 days later, somebody else will say the same thing, and I'm like, that's so it's
being brought up over and over again.
And it's like random stuff. It's not even like, oh, let me sit with like this word patience keeps coming. No, it's just like random, like, oh, the Himalayan mountains, and I'm like,
what does that mean? So do you think that those are messages coming to you?
I don't know. I think because it's been so recent, I've been having a harder time keeping myself grounded. And so I haven't really had the space to like, I shouldn't say I haven't had the space. I haven't taken the time to just sit down and be like, what does this mean? Why are you telling me this right now?
Yeah.
And
investigating.
And there's like times where I'm like very aware of it, that I'm like, I don't have time for this right now. Like I have things I need to do, and I will worry about this later. And then there's some times where I think part of it, like, it just is like a little reminder that like your guides are here, or just like, just so you know, like we're still listening, and we're still here, and we're still guiding you. And I think that brings me a lot of comfort in and of itself, especially when they are so random, because something like for real, like the Himalayans, like what? Why would
that was one of the ones?
That was one, like for real. And I was like, okay, that's so weird that we're all just talking about that right now.
Yes,
okay.
yes. So maybe it is just a validation for you, and they're letting you know that they're there, like I
think it's a way of anchoring me, like just because like I'm a new business.
Yeah.
New relationship, everything's going on, holidays are coming up, so it's just a crazy time of the year, and so I think it's just like a little way to just like,
hello,
hey, just so you know, chill out a little bit. You're doing okay, slow down. That's what it seems like to me, at least. But I definitely want to spend more time in those moments when they're really like adding up, that like, I'm listening. What do you need to tell me?
Right.
Because that's where I feel like I kind of disconnect myself, and it's not even so much because I want to.
Right.
I don't. I love being a spiritual person, but
it's hard.
It's just hard. Yeah. It's hard to have that space. It's hard to just like, I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. When you're ready, tell me. Like, it's on you. I got it.
That's kind of what I do too, because I went down that rabbit hole of when all the election crap was going on.
Oh my gosh.
And I was so distracted, and I really had to reground myself and really refocus. It's so easy to get distracted from the outside world and stay connected and grounded to what we believe, whether you and I believe something different. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's super hard to be on track.
I agree. And also, on the other end of that,
yes,
I've actually noticed, like, through all the spiritual practices that I've been doing, it feels so crazy. And I'm not saying I'm better than everyone, because it's not it at all.
Right.
But it feels so crazy that you can literally feel the frequency difference between, like, when you're on
getting
the
the
spiritual
chills.
journey,
Yep.
when you're like healing and when you're taking care of yourself and you're trying to do the best that you can, and then all these people are like giving into the fear and giving into the hate and giving into the fighting, and I'm like, whoa, like you can literally feel it's like you are stepping into a different frequency, and it's crazy. And I'm even noticing it, like, even with my family, some of the conversations my family's having, and I'm like, if I talk right now, I'm gonna yell at you guys. Because, like, what the hell is happening?
Right? No, you say what you want.
But it's great. But it is. It's so crazy. And it's just, like, it's more and more obvious the more that you turn inward and you do all the work that you need to do to get to where you're at. It's so obvious. And then you're like, is that how I lived? Like, was that
I know, right? And don't you wonder, too, just with, people in general, how... The world, the world would be such a magical place if everyone could be on the path, whatever that path looks like. Yes, because it's such a beautiful place to be.
Absolutely is.
Beautiful place to be.
Night and day difference.
Yep.
From the life I was living before to where I'm at now, like. It's insane.
Yes.
And it's, like, crazy, too, because I think when people hear that, it almost, like, triggers them. And it's like, all I'm saying is to mind your business.
Right.
Like, mind your own business.
Right.
And live a life that's happy for you. And who cares what everybody else is doing.
Exactly.
You don't need to give into it. You don't need to have those conversations. You don't have to have those feelings.
Yep.
Like, it's going to be okay.
Yep.
So,
I agree with you. That, yes, 100%.
I know. I can't. All right now.
Yeah, it is such a difference. So when do you feel like you really woke up? When did your eyes open? Or when did you have your...
6 years ago. Post-divorce.
Okay, that comes up a lot.
It does. Divorce.
Funny enough. Yep.
If you want to have a spiritual awakening, get married and get divorced.
There you go, people. That's it.
That's what you need to know. No, but for real. So I got married pretty young. Obviously Utah, but not being in the church, it was still pretty young. I was just 21. It was like the month after my birthday.
Yep.
When I got married, and we were together for 4 years before, and we only lasted about a year and a half before we got divorced.
Yeah.
And it was crazy, first of all, when you do marry young, how they mean it when it's like you get married and all of a sudden everything's different.
It's so true.
Like, it didn't seem like it in the moment.
Yeah.
But when you think back on it, it's like two completely different people that you were with, and it's insane. So to not talk negatively, our values didn't line up.
Right.
Everything was, no, that's too much money. No, we don't have the time for that. No, we don't have the space for it. And it was like nothing. I want a new car. No. I want a baby. No. I want to move out into our own place. No. And I was like, so what do you want? Like, what do you actually want, right? When I got divorced, I had all the world open to me. And it was crazy because I was like, well, now I'm in charge of everything. I have to make those choices. I've got to lay the foundation for the life that I want to live. For a while, I was doing really good. My spiritual journey post-divorce was, like, really great, really shitty, and it's turned really good. But, like, for real, like, I was doing so many things. I was traveling a lot. I was spending a lot of time by myself. I was working out more. I was working, period, more. But, like, also being divorced, work felt so much more peaceful because half of our fights were actually about work. Just because he didn't work a lot. Okay. And so I would work extra to cover stuff. Yeah. But then it was a problem that I wasn't home spending time with him, right? So it was like I couldn't win no matter what.
Right.
And so I was able to work as much as I wanted. I could save as much as I wanted. I could buy whatever I wanted.
You were in control of you.
It was just
100%.
everything. And so I think that restored kind of like a confidence in me that I didn't know that I was missing because I was also so young. I was with him since I was 17.
Oh, wow.
So that's like until I was like 25. So that's a long time. That's like my whole the beginning of my adult life.
Right. You weren't technically really an adult yet.
I'm still not, okay? I'm 29. I'm still a child. So for sure. So I did that, had a lot of great times. I had a lot of moments where I started really taking in and learning how to be present. That was the biggest key to everything. Like when I was working out, I was all in working out. What did I do? When I was floating at the crater, like in Midway, I just like sat there and I kept putting myself in this place of like, I'm so grateful that this is so cool. Like I'm so glad that I get to experience this. And the gratitude, Lori. Oh.
Did you have great things?
It's just
come
when you take time to be grateful. It's amazing. How amazing your life is. And I wish more people understood that. And it's something that I have fought my whole life with my family. And it's like society in general, right? Because going back really quick to like the frequency thing. So also before I got divorced, I had severe depression for like 10, 12 years after, because I got in a car accident when I was in high school. And it was miserable. I was put on suicidal watch at one point. I hated everything. I didn't want to be around anyone. I didn't want to do anything. And I just didn't know what to do with my life. To help myself, would like write down a list of like, I would do all this research of like, how do you help somebody that's depressed? And like self-care things and like anything and everything. What are the things that used to make me happy? Going on a walk, coloring in my book, listening to music. And just one by one, anytime I was in a depressive episode, I would go through my list until I found what brought me out for that day. Like, and it was different every single time.
That's amazing.
And it's a great list. And now, apparently, that's like a thing. It's called the dopamine list. It's like a trend on TikTok right now.
Oh my gosh.
Where you just write down a bunch of things that make you happy. Yeah. And I don't even know where I got that from. Like, I was just like, I don't want to feel like shit. Right. So I've got to do something, right? And so it took me so long. But then once I got to that point, anytime I saw anybody that was like, oh, poor pity me, I'd be like, you know what you should do? You should write down things that you're grateful for. Yeah. And they're like, it's not that easy. I'm like, it actually is.
Yes.
It actually is. And nobody's, a lot of the times, like, that's still a really hard conversation to have with people because obviously when you're going through it, like, you don't want to hear, like, you should just be grateful for what you have. Right. And I get that. I totally get that.
Because you're mad and angry at everybody in the world and, yeah.
But when you do, especially in those moments, it really... completely, it's like a light switch. Like everything just gets better. You realize you're upset most of the time at literally nothing. And so that also was a big part of my enlightenment journey, is that I made myself take time to be grateful. And even on Instagram, one of my highlights is gratitude. And like I used to be a lot better at it, but I just think I'm happier now, so I just don't care to post as much.
Right.
But when I remember, like, I put, like, today I'm grateful for it, and I try and list everything.
I've seen your posts.
And I do them all the time, and I save them because I'm like, I don't even care if I'm saying the same 10 things over and over again in a bunch of different ways. Like, it's the fact that I'm taking time out of my day to think of everything that's good, because things could be worse. I know it's a cliche, but things could be worse, and I'm actually very grateful for where I'm at. And I just wish more people also... Maybe we start there. As a collective, maybe we start there.
The grateful.
Yeah. And I actually wanted to get my family, like, gratitude books for Christmas. Like, here's a book that I think you need to read, and here's a gratitude journal. And
that's a great idea.
2025.
Right?
I'm not dealing with this anymore.
Yeah, you have the chance to change your world, because it really does. Right?
But it also matters about people being receptive, which I also have learned that the hard way. I've learned that the hard way. Part of my journey has been trying to have those conversations with other people and trying to like, hey, again, I keep going back to my family. If you haven't noticed, it's been my biggest pain point. Because also I was in therapy for 3 years. I just stopped because he started a private practice, and I've been for 3 years, and he's like, I've seen you grow. We can just take a break, and if you need me, come back, right? And doing the healing work and therapy broke me down. And it was crazy in the best ways, but it really did. Like, it brought me to my own attention. It brought up all of my triggers. It brought up all of my wounds. It helped. I think it helped me see like my family, but specifically my parents, from like a very objective point of view.
Okay.
To like they're not your mom and dad. Let's just view them as they're just two people. And like, is it okay? Is your relationship good? Like, how do you work on this, right? And even my siblings relationships have also changed very much. And so that's where like things kind of went crazy for a little bit. So like I had this time where like I felt the best about myself that I've ever felt. I felt confident in myself. I felt good in myself. I felt like I was literally reaching out and the world was giving me everything I wanted. Like that's really how it felt when I first was like, I'm awakening, right? And then it got to that point where it's like, but if you want to get to where you need to be, you got to do the shit work first.
Right. Yeah. You got to. Yeah.
You got to dig down.
Right. That doesn't go away. Unfortunately, you can't just bury it. No, because it'll always be there.
And avoidance is not the answer because trust me, I've tried. But yeah, no. So being in therapy was a really hard 3 years. I had a former best friend that I had to get out of that because that was also.
It was a toxic relationship.
Super toxic. It was crazy. And I got screwed over in the process, but that doesn't matter. But, like, again, that goes back to, like, the frequency thing, right? Because, like, the situation could have been handled differently. But in my mind, nothing is worth more than my peace. Like, and people think I'm crazy for that. But nothing is worth more. I love that. I want to be happy, and I want to be away from all the shit that's happening to me. And if I can step away, I'm going to step away, and I don't care what it costs. I really don't.
Yes.
And that's where
you're protecting yourself. I love that.
Thank you.
I love it.
That's agreed with.
And I agree with you. That's amazing that you've realized it and you can do that and you will do it.
Multiple times, even leaving my husband, actually, my ex-husband, I should say. I left him with everything. Like, I was like, I will buy new furniture. I don't want any of the hassle. I don't want to deal with this. I don't have the stamina. I don't have the strength. I don't have the energy. Like, you keep everything and I'll go restart because I don't care.
Right.
I really don't care. I just need to be away from you. And that's where I was kind of out also with my former friend was like, I know I deserve more, but I'm done. And I can't do this. And I won't do it because it's pulling me apart and I won't. Like, I won't. So then also being in therapy too, there was a lot of, I don't want to get too crazy deep of the details. Right. But like, there was just like a lot of things that were brought to my attention that I wasn't expecting within my family. There was a lot of things that I felt I had to figure out on my own just because something that I said in therapy one time, and this is rough, so if I cry, ignore it. It's fine. But like, I feel like my healing is causing a lot of chaos in my family.
Okay.
Because I'm getting to this point where I want to hold people accountable, and I want to also help you become the best version of yourself. And the fact that they don't want that, I'm like in this place where I'm like, I feel so isolated, and I feel like the only way I can connect with you guys is to drop myself back down to that other frequency.
And you're not going to do it.
And I can't. I physically can't.
Yeah.
Like, I know that's crazy.
I get it. No, I get it.
So if anything happens, like a conversation or if I'm in a situation, like, I will either leave or I'm done. I don't want to talk about this anymore. Or I just, like, disengage. Because I'm like, I don't even have, you're so wrong. Or, like, okay, that doesn't make sense. Okay, well, that doesn't add up from what you said last time. Or, like, and I just notice all these things. And I think that's been that's where I've struggled the most in the last 3 years is I'm so much more aware of, like, patterns and, like, I guess it's mostly just the patterns, but just like this constant cycle that people are in where it's like, I need validation or I just need a vent or I just need to complain, but I don't want to do anything about it. And I'm seeing that in a lot of my relationships, like in life. And I'm like, if you guys want help, I'll help you. But if you don't, then I'm sorry.
I'm out. Sucks. Yeah. I know it. It's very frustrating when people do, they're in the situation and they don't want to help themselves.
The hardest. And my therapist too, he's like, what are you getting out of it? What do you want out of this? I was like, I just want my family to be happy.
Yeah, like, right. And that's the thing too, is you really truthfully and lovingly want family or friends or whoever to be happy, but they're not getting it.
And it's not worth
or not willing to do the work.
And that's the thing is, like, at some point it's not worth it. Like, and it's hard to get to that point, especially someone like me who, like, I care to my core.
Yes.
Like, it makes me sick.
Yep.
And so when I'm at that point where I'm like, I literally don't care how miserable you are anymore, like, I'm checked out. I love you. I'm here if you need me, but I don't want to talk to you anymore.
Right.
When you're ready, you can reach out to me, but I'm not doing this anymore.
Yeah.
And so it's been hard, and there's been a lot of things like that have kind of like sparked in my life, and I don't know if that's just like awakening in general, so that you can like see the dissonance and like the
I think
disconnect.
So.
But it's been quite enlightening.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
I definitely think where you wake up and enlightened and start seeing and realizing things that other people don't, and you're on it. You're like in this different little world, right?
It feels like that.
You're in your
like,
Alex
I feel like
world.
I have a fake little bubble that I live in.
Yes. Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad that you said that, because it really feels like that sometimes.
Yeah.
And it's not even a bad thing either. I think it's a fantastic thing, honestly. And it's not ignorance either. Like, I'm very educated. I unfortunately tried to keep up with all the politics stuff too. Like, everything, it gets in, everything filters in with social media, you know. It's not like
that's
I'm
what
ignoring
happens.
it.
Yeah.
It's just that I'm, even on TikTok, like, I'll start watching a political post and I'm like 30 seconds in, and I was like, nope, I'm not doing it. I'm not
going down the road.
I'm not doing that. Yep. And especially algorithms, because the longer you're on it, the more it's going to filter the same thing. So I'm like, nope,
Here,
nope, not doing
more.
it. Yep. So it's been wild. But like this little safety net that me and my now husband have created has been honestly great. And he, if you don't mind me sharing a little bit about him.
I was just going to ask you. So funny you say that.
Yeah, absolutely. We're connected.
I was just going to ask, is he kind of, then you seem like you're on the same page if you're saying you've created this little world, right?
I actually think right now he's more spiritual than I am.
Really?
In the best ways. And it's actually crazy. So small, quick backstory.
Yes.
He grew up LDS. He went on a mission to Germany for his 2 years, came home, started college, got married. They were together for like 5 years too. And he's like my same age, so he's only 2 years older than me. Or I mean 2 months older than me.
Oh, close.
So like super close, yeah. Anyways, got married. They lived together for a while, got divorced, and then he hit his little depressive state, right? He left the church, everything. Like, everything went like
wonky.
So yeah, like the floor was removed from beneath his feet, basically. And so when him and I started dating, he was very much like, well, what's the difference between like spiritual and religion, right? And like, why do you consider yourself spiritual? And just like kind of asking those little basic questions, right? And like, what is spirituality to you? Which that's a deep question. That's a hard question, especially with somebody who doesn't really know. I'm like, oh yeah, so like I try to talk to spirit and like the universe is working for me, but I don't know how to explain that to you right now. So that kind of just sparked some things. So right now, when I say that he's a little bit more than I am, he wakes up every single morning and meditates. Like, he's so good at it. He like knows that when he's stressed out, he'll put on a podcast that's just like a 20-minute meditation podcast, like a guided one, right? To like calm back down. He actually has, I say make, but it's good. Whenever we're stressed, like, we will hold each other and he makes me do like, let's do 3 deep breaths, right? Like, let's just get grounded again.
Oh my gosh.
It's absolutely amazing. And then the books that he's reading, like right now he's reading Becoming Supernatural. I made him also read The Power of Now, because why not? It's the best book ever. It's like the best
I haven't
book.
read that. Lori,
I know. Oh
my gosh. I have a huge Audible library of like 40 books.
Spiritual books.
Yes, and anyway, so I will have to.
The Power of Now. The best.
I will have to get that one next.
Yeah, the thing that I love the most about it, and why I think it's a great like opening to if you want to be spiritual, is because I think the best way to be spiritual is to be present, and that book teaches you everything that you need to know, mind, body, and spirit, about being present.
Wow.
And so I think it's a great place to start, and he has kind of skyrocketed like from them, and he's like reading all these books and he's doing all these practices. I'm sure you're not familiar with it, but in the book of The Power of Becoming Supernatural, it talks about creating mind movies. Have you ever and, like sacred geometry and stuff like that? It's crazy.
Wow.
I'm very new to it because I haven't read that book yet. Like, we bought it and I'm like, hey, dibs after you. But he's taking his time because he's like really implementing like everything that he's reading. And it's insane how much he's absorbing of all this spiritualness. Like, way more than
He needs to come on here
I know,
next.
honestly, I think he would be a great guest for you to have.
Yes.
But yeah, so he created like this thing called the Mind Movie, and you do like a little meditation watching like sacred geometry. So it's kind of like a little kaleidoscope that you just watch, and it plays like the frequencies, and it just really gets you like grounded and kind of in that meditative state. And then he has like a list of really detailed affirmations for like the life that he wants to create, right? And so then he'll put the little YouTube video of the geometry in the corner, he'll read his affirmations, and then he'll finish watching it for like a few more minutes, right? So it's like almost like it's like programming his mind with these affirmations. And I'm like,
that's where the energy goes, though, right?
Exactly.
Yes.
And the affirmations too, like, fake it till you make it. I know people say don't do that, but literally they're so helpful.
Yeah.
And anytime I'm stressed out, I always go back. Like, if I'm by myself or if I'm driving and I feel like I'm stressed, like, I always go like, I'm so patient. Like, this life, I am so healthy.
Right?
Everything is good. Like, you just you have to have those grounding exercises. And he's so much better at them than I am. Like, I get so stressed sometimes. Like, I just need to cry for 10 minutes and then I'll be fine. And he's like, you're good. Don't even worry about it. Your feelings are valid. It's okay. I would feel the same.
Oh my gosh.
I'm like, okay, you're gonna make me cry more. But it's been so great. So he's been on quite the journey himself, and he's teaching me a lot.
Do you feel like he was sent to you?
Absolutely.
I agree.
Absolutely.
I agree.
And that, you want to know what's even crazier about that? Speaking of our readings, is I feel like I met him not long after one of our readings.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I think you and I, if I remember the timeline correctly, like, I think I had my reading with you whenever that last one was, clearly like 2 years ago. Like,
forever ago.
It's been, yeah. I think it was probably early January or whatever last year. And then it was like, that was, oh my gosh, it's been 2 years.
It's crazy.
Oh my gosh.
Where does the time go, right? Go?
But yeah, so, and we were talking about, because I felt really confident, and I was like, talking to some guys, and I was like, I don't know. And
see, I don't remember anything.
I know you won't. But like, it was just so crazy. And then it was just like a few months after that like Adam appeared, and I was like, you're literally perfect. And he's not, obviously, but like, he is. Like,
but he's perfect for you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, you're so grounded. You're so nurturing. And he's healed so many things from my past relationship. All this trauma I didn't know that I had, that I was still carrying. When you're single for so long after divorce, you don't know what you've stuffed down. So then when you're finally in a healthy relationship, it's true that they're literally a mirror of you, and they show you who you are. And so then all these things come up, and I'm like, I want to yell at you right now, but I know that this is something that's happened from my last relationship, so I'm just going to walk away for a second.
Right.
And we'll have this conversation later. But it's been great because of that. Like, we've been able to have, like, really good, heartfelt, very hard conversations. But, like, he's very much aware of triggered, what, besides wounds, what am I thinking? Like, trigger responses.
Yeah.
And so, whenever I feel those come up, like, in either one of us, because he's experienced it too.
Yeah.
We both just get really quiet, and we're like, "What's going on?"
Yeah.
And he's like, "I just have things I need to work on. I'm aware. We've already talked about it. Like, we just need a little bit of time." And I'm like, "Okay." Great.
That's so awesome that you both can recognize each other's things, triggers, and be supportive, and not try to like pick at each other.
Oh yeah.
And, what's wrong? Try and dig it out of each other, because that's not helpful.
He does to me sometimes.
Does he?
Not bad. Not bad. But we actually had a conversation just this year about it, because we were talking about conflict styles, right? Which, surprisingly, I feel like not a lot of people have conversations about when they're in a relationship. Right. But, like, that conflict style is, my mind, when I'm upset, I immediately, like, catastrophize. So, like, all the negative things are going through my brain. Where with his, the longer it sits, the more he catastrophizes, right?
Okay.
So it's like we had to figure out that balance of, like, how do we both get what we want so neither of us are freaking out, right? So it's kind of like, I just need 15 minutes. Like, let my brain play out all these stupid scenarios, and then I can have a logical conversation with you about what's going on. And so we like kind of came to terms to that this year, which I'm so glad because we've only been together 2.5 years. So to figure that out like so early in our relationship,
you guys like are amazing.
Thanks.
For
I like
real.
to think that we're the best couple ever.
It sounds beautiful what you
is.
have going on, and that you can understand each other, and you're like in the same playing field, if you will, you know, with the whole spirituality. And even though, again, we're all so very different. And you keep saying, oh, he's way more spiritual than me. I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I think he just does it different than what you do. Because
100%.
I've felt that way too. Oops, I keep bumping the mic.
I
know. I felt that way too. It's like, but it comes in where we start comparing ourselves, right, to others. Oh, well, he meditates every morning. He's more, no.
Right.
Really.
For sure.
You know?
I mean, and it's different. Like, that is the biggest thing is, like, I think we're both spiritually active in different ways.
Exactly.
Because I also have been lately, nobody in my family knows this yet. So
well, they're going to now.
I know. I actually have a lot of books on, like, witchcraft and, like, witches, period. And it's really been enlightening. And it's been really sitting with me. And it really makes me feel...
You wrote a...
No,
you read a book.
Reading.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm like...
I wish. I will get there.
Okay, I have a story, but keep going.
Yes. But yeah, so reading all these books, it's just about like, it's like House Witch and Green Witch and Kitchen Witch, like just little things like that. And then like I have a witchcraft book on spell casting and one on tarot cards. And it's just this little realm that I've been getting into recently. And I don't know where I got drawn to it. I don't know where it came
did
from.
you start getting into that? When did you recognize that or like,
Probably
take interest?
Yeah, so August last year, Adam and I went to Oregon for a week, and probably it was like our last day there that it hit, again, these things literally just come out of the blue. Like, I'm not even thinking about anything, and while we were driving, it just popped in my head, like, you need to learn herbal medicine.
Yeah.
And I was like, why does that make me really happy? Like, that's interesting. Okay. So I told Adam about it and we explored it. I've already bought some things and then I bought a couple books about herbal medicine so that I could start getting into it. And I was like, that's so weird that I feel drawn to that. But again, times get crazy. So I just had this like constant pattern. You know, I'm sure a lot of people do. But then with that, I bought, I think, The Green Witch, and I read that, and it talks about like little rituals that you can do with the seasons and connecting to nature. Like I love that book so much because it's about connecting to nature.
Yep.
And so bringing that in and reading it, and then finding out that there were more in that like same kind of genre, I was like, I want to know more. And so I just like kept finding all these books that I want. I have like 6 or 7 of them now, but they just like, I like put on witchy folk music, like instrumental music, and I'll like read my book. So I like set a
You're
scene
just over there
when I'm in it,
witching out.
it's been fun. And I even like I told my sister about it. She's like, you shouldn't tell people that you're a witch. And I was like, why?
It's so taboo, and people, because when you hear witch, they think negative, right? All the time. So it's funny you're sitting here because I've been mentioning on the episodes that we had Austin come on from Cat and Cauldron. He's the owner. And they're very witchy, warlocky over there. And we also visited a shop in Magna, We Witches 3.
I've been there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so you know. And she did a little potion with her herbs for us while we were there. And I keep saying, I think I'm witchy too.
Yeah.
And I started a book. I did. Started. The Austin recommended 3 books for me, and I've started one this week.
You'll have to send them my way.
I will.
I want to know more.
But see, look at this beautiful. You guys can't see her, but this beautiful.
Yeah, I am
Hecate. Yes,
I love it.
She's going to have an altar in here soon.
Good. I know. I haven't gotten that far into it. There's a book actually that specifically talks about each of the different like divine like entities that you can bring into like spell casting kind of, and like how to have that extra protection.
Yeah.
And so I like patient. The problem with me when I like learning new things, especially when they like spark so much energy in me, is my capacity to hold the information is not as big as I want it to be.
Same.
And I'll read a chapter for each book, and then I'm like, I just don't know what I even read. I need to go back. I need to focus on one book. But then I'm like, but I'm drawn to this book today.
Right.
Oh, but I'm drawn to this one. So I've just been letting it do its thing, letting it when it calls to me.
Right.
Yeah, when I have the time, when I have the space, because it's also intentionality is another big part of spirituality, in my opinion.
I agree.
And that's another thing that, like, again, Adam and I have set, like, this whole, and that's part of our little bubble, is we've set this whole foundation of, once we started having those spiritual conversations and he was becoming a little bit more, like, enlightened and everything, it was like, how do we start from here on and living intentional? Like, what we put into our body, even if it's Taco Bell.
Right.
If we're doing it, it's because we're intentionally doing it.
Yeah.
Right? And, like, everything is intentional.
Yep.
Everything is, how do you want to spend your time? How do you want to spend your energy? Where are you spending your money? Where are you spending, is this conversation with your sister worth your time and energy right now? Like, what are you getting out of it, you know?
Yes.
And so that intentionality piece definitely goes into, like, the witch stuff. And because of all the herbalness and because of the frequency thing, you don't want to bring that negative frequency into whatever you're doing. And I'm finding that that's the hardest part, is, like, not doubting yourself and not letting those negative, you, like, really have to get into, like, a grounded state before doing any of these things. Even as simple as making a tea.
Right.
And the intention is there. Actually, in one of the books, I don't know which one it was, but it said all intention work is magic work. And I was like, I need that hung up in my house. Like, right now. I need to make something
right. That's
up.
awesome.
It was beautiful. So.
Yeah, it is. Sorry, people, my allergies the last 2 days have been fun. Anyway, so yes, I've been super interested in it too. And it's so funny because now that I'm taking interest, all these people are coming, like you. I didn't know that about you.
Yeah.
And
it's very recent.
Yeah, and I had a friend text me last night. She's like, hey, I'm thinking I want to do this, this, and this. And I'm like,
oh, no way.
What?
Me too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Synchronicities.
Yeah.
It just, they come up at the craziest times. And you're like, okay, this is what we're doing now.
It's wild when you say that. I'm like, oh my gosh. Wow. Okay.
Good. I'm glad.
Mind blown again. Right.
But yeah, so that's, and back to the being spiritual in different ways, though. That's part of where I'm showing up spiritually. And it's also, I'm very good at protecting. Like, that whole, like, white light and surrounding, protecting my surroundings. Like, I had a really crazy reading, actually, with a lady, maybe during COVID, so it was over the phone. I'm not sure when it was. It was at least 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah, because we're
2024, so probably 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah.
That's, again, time is man-made. And anyway, so she does, like, Akashic records, and she does, like, the blueprints, and, like, your soul, I think that's what it's called, like, the soul blueprint, whatever, and it was a great reading. It was insane.
Really?
My Akashic records were crazy. I want to learn how to do that so bad.
That's
probably next on my
too.
list, because I'm just like, how do you do that? But anyways, so as part of it, she usually starts it with doing a clearing for your energy before she starts, like, inputting all this stuff into, like, your energy field. And at the end, when her and I were talking, I was like, yeah, like, I'm an esthetician. I actually touch people all day long for my job. And she's like, what? And I was like, yeah, why? And she was like, that was so easy. Like, I feel like I normally have to spend a lot more time clearing people than I did you, and you're physically touching people all day long. And I was like, get me started.
Yes.
I've been watching scary movies.
Yeah.
Full circle. They tell you to protect yourself. I've been doing that. That's probably the first thing I ever learned how to do spiritually.
Protecting.
Thank heavens that I did, because I feel like it really has, like, not even that I feel like I've been in situations where I've had to.
Right.
But it's now to a point where, like, I can't watch a scary movie now, and because of the frequency thing, I can't watch a scary movie now without protecting me and my home first.
Right.
Like, I have to do those first in order to physically sit down and be like, hey, I'm engaging in whatever's about to happen in this, and I'm stooping into that frequency.
Yeah.
But I do it with people. I like as simple as, like, washing your hands, right? Or, like, when you're done, like, just wiping your arms down. But then another thing too, again, with the intentionality, like, when I was doing facials or any body work or anything for my clients, like, I constantly was trying to, like, activate the chakras, right? Like imagine them glowing, and like I was feeding them affirmations, and it was a very like I wouldn't allow to myself to like get their energy on me. I was like, no. Yeah. I will keep pushing love onto you, and you can keep whatever else is with you. But
you're gonna leave with what you came with, right?
And more, but positive more. Yes. I mean, I would sometimes like with the arms, like I try and like wipe off anything like that, but it was definitely like not on me. I'm not taking that in. I'm not absorbing that for you. I don't want it. So I do that a lot, even every night before I go to bed, like with Archangel Michael and Gabriel. Correct me if I'm wrong, because I've been doing this for a while now and I could have gotten mixed up. I imagine blue and green around my bed, and then I imagine my bed just being like glowing white. So like as we're on there, it's kind of like a charging station for us, right? And that's how I envision our bedroom at night. I
love that.
And I do that every single night before we go to bed, because I'm like, I just need to know that we're safe, that we're protected, that I feel good, that we have love and guidance and strength with us. Like we're gonna be fine. And so
that's amazing.
I think I am a lot more spiritual than I give myself credit for. It's just in my head.
Right?
It's
you totally do. Because see, I think you just got to where you were comparing yourself. And because it sounds like you do great thing. You do. Yeah. And obviously that you're protecting yourself has worked.
Oh yeah.
Because when you're touching, my daughter did hair for a while, and she's like, I just can't. She couldn't handle it because of the energy.
It's draining.
Yeah.
Energy vampires.
People suck you dry.
They literally do. But then there's also that other point too of like, again, doing like that inner work and raising your frequency and raising your vibrations and everything. Like, excuse me, sorry, you don't want to be around people like that. So then it gets to a point. I mean, when you do it for your job, that's one thing. Because working retail, I also spent the last 10 years as a pharmacy technician. And let me tell you,
yes,
how many days I could not keep myself sane. Like, that is a different beast of a job career.
It sounds like it would be.
Not recommend. It's a great job. Like, being a pharmacy tech in general is a great job. But when you're doing it retail, people are ruthless.
Oh, yeah.
And they do not care that it's not your fault. They will rip you apart. And no matter how strong you think you are, eventually it
break you down.
Away.
Yeah, break you down for sure.
Multiple nights I would literally go home and I'm like, I don't want to make decisions. I can't do anything. I just want to eat and go to bed. Like, please don't talk to me. And I'd become a zombie. And I'm like, I can't do this. I'm physically dying. I can't do this.
Yeah.
So luckily Adam was like, great, quit your job, start your coffee business, because that's what you've always wanted to do. And that's what our life is about, is living out our dreams and living intentionally and doing the work that makes us happy. And we're building a community. Like, it's been, and that also has been a lot of work, but it's been.
So coffee shop. I didn't know this either. Gosh. Tell me.
Okay, so
let's give yourself a plug here.
Plug. So I just started a mobile coffee cart. So it's for mostly catering.
Okay.
But I'm going to be like the events, like the farmers markets, and I'm going to be a part of the Pride Festival, and like just like all these little things, right? That's not little. The Pride is big, but
yes.
All the things that I can be a part of, I want to. I'm also available for catering, right, for weddings and anything like that.
So how do people get in touch with you?
On my website, gatheringgroundsco.com.
Okay,
or awesome. On my Instagram, yeah, which is also Gathering Grounds Coffee. But seriously though, so that journey, I did not know that starting a mobile business in Utah was going to be so much work. It's been 6 months, and I just got my permit and my business license today. Literally today.
Oh my gosh, congratulations. So that's awesome.
A hell of a ride. It's been so hard. It's been also draining, dealing with other people, having to be on other people's timelines, and just whenever things are convenient for them. And also being on a spiritual journey and starting your own business is also a beast within itself.
Yeah.
Because there's this constant battle with like imposter syndrome, and then there's also like, hey, you're not working hard enough, but hey, it's okay to rest.
Yes.
And you need to do more, but everything's working out exactly how it should. Like, that balancing act is so terrifying, and it's so great, because I mean, like, I probably, and I've come to terms with this, I probably could have been open a couple months ago. If I genuinely would have worked harder, I probably could have. But I'm trying to be in this place now where I'm like, this is my business.
Keep yourself balanced.
Time. Yep. And
Yeah.
if I need to rest, I'm not doing work. Like,
Yeah.
I need to chill.
Good for you.
And it's been hard. It's been so hard to like give yourself permission to just relax.
Yeah.
Actually, not so spons. I wish I was being paid for this. On Instagram, there's an account that's called The Daily Rest. Has changed my life.
Really?
It has changed my life. Being like following that account and the way that they describe how healthy and how amazing and how beneficial slowing down and resting is.
Yes.
Has given me a completely different perspective on how I function in life. And I embrace that every step of the way. And it's not lazy. It's not being lazy. It's I will push myself. But if I know physically that I need to not do anything today, I'm going to be a couch potato. And that's okay. And there's no shame. And
right.
You need to chill.
Yeah.
Phones need to charge. Cars need gas. Like, it's okay to refuel by not doing anything.
Right.
And then there's, like, the other part, too, where it's, like, the social aspect, right? Because it's like, oh, come do these things and come do this. And I'm like, no, I don't want to. Most of my friends, they're night owls. I'm an early bird. They want to go out late. And I'm like, I'm not going. I love you guys so much. I'm not going out. I need my sleep. I need to relax. I've been going all day. I've been up 6 hours earlier than you.
Right.
Like, it's crazy.
I'm the same. I mean, I like to go out and have fun once in a while, but I like to be up in the morning too and enjoy the morning, right? The peaceful,
So
calm,
quiet.
yeah, quiet
That's
morning.
Nice.
Yes.
I've been doing yoga too. That's a new thing. I've been doing yoga every morning. Well,
Awesome.
Okay, that's a stretch. Most mornings.
Often.
Yeah. More often than not. For 30 to 40 minutes every day for like the last month. And that also, surprisingly, has made a world of a difference. And because the girl that I follow too, she's very much like, don't shame. Right? Like, it doesn't matter how far you can fold over. It doesn't matter how much you can stretch your leg out. Like, the key is that you're doing it and that you're pushing your body.
That you're moving.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That morning movement, I talk about that all the time. Morning movement is so good for you. I love it.
Awesome. I love that. That sounds amazing. You have tons of things.
So much gratitude. I'm so grateful for where... If you would have told me even 5 years ago that I would be here, I would have been like, cool, good for you. Like, but it's so nice and it's so relaxing. It's such a little corner of the world that we're in right now. And I'm glad. I'm so glad that I've gotten to that point. It's still hard because of everybody else.
Yeah.
But as much as I can control, you can only control what you can, right?
Right.
And I know I have control issues and I'm aware of that. So. That's half my problem with my family and all this, especially being spiritual and having control issues. Not a great mix. It is not the way that I want to force have positive conversations. You should just be grateful. Like, I want to text people and call people all the time and be like, just be more grateful.
I feel you on that so much because the same way. I just want to go up to people and be like, you should be doing this. Yeah. Try this. Yeah. Have you done this? You know, what's working? Because it's about changing the world for real.
It really is.
And figuring out what people, what works for them and makes them happy and makes them have gratitude.
And that's exactly like the conversation Adam and I just had, I think yesterday, is like, where's that balance between helping other people want to be better and you're just causing more problems. Like, you know, because again, people have to be receptive. If they're not receptive,
they have to want it.
You can talk until you're blue in the face and
it doesn't matter.
Go through, right?
Yeah.
But it's like, but if I keep saying it in different ways, one of them will click. I swear one of them will click.
The light bulb will come on.
Because, like, how? Like, it took divorce for me, but what if somebody doesn't have that, right? So then, like, what's your catalyst? And if what I would think from an outside perspective would have been what woke you up and you didn't, then what?
Right.
And I'm like, everybody's on their own journey. Their souls are evolving on their own. Like, I just have to, it's so
step
hard.
back
it's
and watch.
So hard.
I know. I feel you there because I'm the same way. I just, because you want to help people, right? But they truly have to want it for themselves. And again, everybody's different.
And I actually said that. Well, not that exactly, but I told my mom the other day, I was like, when I'm giving these suggestions or when I'm trying to help people in situations, I'm getting to a point where, again, the confidence piece or like the self-trust, I'm getting to a point where I feel like I'm coming across like I'm better than other people and that I know more
and
that I'm like this self-righteous, like, well, if you just listen to me, your life will be great.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but it's not about that.
Right.
It's the part that it makes me sick, and I just need you to listen so that I don't have to throw up. Like, I don't actually, but you know what I mean? Like,
yes,
it's just at that point where it's like, I care so much that I become obsessed. And it's very unhealthy, and it's very hard to let that go.
Yeah.
And so if I don't speak my truth, and if I don't try to do my part in being a better person, and I've healed, and I want you to heal too, and I can show you how.
Right.
But then it doesn't work. But it doesn't work. And then I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
I'm just going to cry about it. I cry so much. I love being a crier. I'm not going to lie. Let it go. Just let it flow. Let it go, you know?
Let it out.
You just got to. That's how it's going to come out, because that's the only way it can. Great. Like,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
I love it. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you so much. So we're out of time, but you probably have more and more stories.
I could tell so many.
We should maybe get you and your hubby on.
Yeah.
Next, ask him if he's willing, because
sure
I would love to hear more, because like I know you, but I don't know you. You know what I mean? And it's been so fun sitting here listening to everything and all the growth that you've experienced. And your energy is amazing. Like, I can just tell you're in a whole different space than what you've been in the past when I've seen you. So
thank you.
Congratulations and good work.
I know.
Love it.
It's hard, but it's worth it.
It is so
That's
worth
my last little takeaway.
It's life changing. Don't you agree?
Oh, absolutely.
And I think sometimes people, because I say that all the time, I really don't have stress. It's life changing. I'm so happy. And people probably have a hard time believing that. Don't you think? Like,
and they're like, oh, Alex over here in her perfect little sunshine world. And I'm like, that's not it.
Yeah.
I choose not to let things bother me.
Yeah.
Or like, I'll realize like the stress sometimes, it's just like, it's so big, but it's so surface level. You know, it's like, I just need to 5 minutes. Let me just say what I need to say, and then I'm done. And I'm literally over it.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. It's
awesome.
life changing, because I feel the same. Like, I feel way less stressed.
Yeah.
I feel so much happier.
Yeah.
And I'm like, just let it go. When people say dumb things, I'm like, in one ear, out the other. I'm like,
you don't sit with it. Yeah. And it really, when you get to that place, look at all the blessings that come to you.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Oh yeah. I'm back at it.
Yay! I love it. Okay, everyone. Thank you for anyone who took a moment to join us today. And a couple of things. We are going to be doing I've lost my train of thought again. I'm just in awe.
No, thank you.
We are doing a Christmas. What is the word? Oh my gosh. We're doing a, this is so dumb.
Donation?
We're taking donations, yes.
Was that what you're talking about? I just saw it on your page.
We're doing an event for Kids Cubby Association. It is fundraiser. Oh my gosh. I seriously get sucked in with people, and then I can't think afterward, because you get out there. You know what I mean?
It's an energy. It's a frequency. It really is.
It is. Anyway, okay. We're doing a fundraiser. We are going to be doing readings December 7th. Taco, myself, and Barb. Barb was on here last episode when we went live. And we're going to be doing readings for about 15 minutes, 3 questions. But we're taking donations for this organization. So please go to the Facebook page, How Do You Spirit, or Lori Jewett, and get the details. Also, my regular Lori Wilson Jewett page, I posted it on there too. We would love to have you guys sign up and come say hi to us. And if you're not interested in readings, we would love to have some donations as well.
Say donate anyways. Give a little love back.
Yeah, for Christmas time. So anyway, thank you so much again, everyone, and we will see you all soon.
Thank you.
Okay.